A year after a disastrous flood, a fugitive and former actress cross paths, linked by a miraculous youth-restoring fruit. In Mullen, Alfie watches River Swan, starring the now-retired actress Gwen Reed. Despite grappling with early-onset dementia, she flawlessly recites her lines. Upon hearing this, the boy asks if she remembers being a celebrity. However, the old woman disregards him and resumes with her baking. Enduring the heavy rain, Ray arrives, relieved to find his wife back home. Alfie informs him that the former actress went to their house earlier and he brought her back. Shortly after, the boy prepares to leave. As he steps out the door, the concerned man invites him to stay, offering shelter from the storm. However, the kid insists on going home, confident in running fast. Shortly after Alfie leaves, Ray notices water entering their home. Meanwhile, Gwen observes as the boy dashes into their garden when a sudden floodwater rushes in. He clings to a tree to survive, but unfortunately he doesn't make it. Along with the boy, 4 other locals lose their lives in the tragic event. A year later, a carefree Sam runs through the city without clothes, prompting Dave, a cop, to chase him due to his inappropriate behavior. The man then dashes into a house and steals clothes from a closet, ignoring the elderly resident. Afterward, he takes a bike and rides to the woods where he comes across Isaac, an intelligent boy capturing photos of the area. Sam attempts to grab his attention, but the boy simply snaps a photo of him before walking away. Meanwhile, Ray visits Gwen, who's now admitted to an assisted living facility, only to discover that she is missing. She's escaped and is wandering the streets, speaking to herself using her old lines as an actress. Suddenly, she spots a baby and pushes its stroller, causing the mother to panic. Ray quickly intervenes and brings her back to the care home. Meanwhile, Sam spots a green car on the street, leading him to devise a plan. Suddenly, he becomes distracted as he glances behind him and notices a bakery. Feeling hungry, he breaks into the store and consumes a custard tart. Suddenly, Tina catches him and tries to kick him out, despite his compliment on her pastries. Undeterred, the thief approaches her and advances, eventually leading to a romantic moment. While washing the dishes, Ray glances outside and observes his dog, Honey, eating something under the tree. Seconds later, he notices that his pet is lying down. Worried, he approaches Honey, suspecting that she ate something from the garden that made her weak, failing to realize it was the strange berry nearby. Aware of his dog's old age and illnesses, Ray decides to euthanize her. He turns to his friend and his wife's former boyfriend Max for assistance in this challenging task. However, Honey goes missing when the armed man is about to put her to sleep. Meanwhile, after their steamy moment, Tina feels guilty for being unfaithful to her husband. Sam tries to calm her, mistaking her for Karen from the store. However, she corrects him, stating she is the store owner's sister. Karen's among the locals who perished due to the flood. Suddenly, Tina hears her husband Dave arriving. She quickly dresses up. The man then laughs when he realizes that he slept with the wife of the cop who'd been pursuing him earlier. Meanwhile, Max learns about a company dilemma that ends his livelihood. Isaac heads to the church to post about his missing mom Annie, whom he hasn't seen since the flood a year ago. Suddenly, Loris, who also lost her brother in the flood, greets him and invites him to the chapel later. The old woman then tries to comfort the genius kid, suggesting that God took their loved ones because he wanted the best angels. However, the boy refuses to accept this, leading Loris to slap him. Shortly after, Isaac promptly leaves the area, while the old woman feels remorseful for her actions. That evening, Ray heads to the facility and presents Gwen with a box of items he found in the cupboard. First, he shows her the blue dress she wore in River Swan and hangs it on the closet handle. However, the former actress ignores him. Afterward, her husband sits beside her, showing her photos of her family, childhood, and when she was still together with Max. Then, he presents a picture of himself with a telescope, prompting his wife to call him Starman. Suddenly, Gwen asks about Alfie, but the old man explains that the boy won't be coming that day, unable to admit that the kid has already passed away. Hearing this, the former actress suddenly changes her demeanor and refuses to look at the other photos Ray shows her. Meanwhile, Max contacts someone to sell his stock. After the call, he gazes at his bulletin board, where there's a photo of him and Gwen and a letter from her promising that she'll return for him. In the facility, Margot informs Ray that Gwen's declining condition requires her to be moved to another place for higher care. When the caretaker explains that it's the best move for the patient, the old man claims that his wife should stay and be near him. Upon returning home, Ray notices a sound outside the door. When he opens it, Honey, looking younger, suddenly returns inside the house and heads to the food bowl. The old man is relieved but puzzled by his pet's sudden transformation. Meanwhile, Isaac's other mom, Vivian, completes a monument for a town event honoring the 5 locals who perished in the flood. A skeptical Loris requests to see it for approval, but the artist declines signs explaining that the council has granted her full artistic license. When Isaac sees Annie's name on the sign, he strikes it with his hammer, expressing his disapproval. Vivian immediately stops him, but the boy points out his other parent is missing. When the artist mentions that it's been a year, the offended Isaac simply rides his bike, later passing by Sam, who rests in the woods. Curious, the man follows the boy and discovers his hideout near the river. He enters and introduces himself to the kid. After seeing that the walls are filled with maps and photos, Sam becomes curious about the boy's background. Isaac introduces himself and reveals that he has an IQ of 160 and is the son of 2 mothers. Following this, Sam attempts to build rapport with the kid and invites him for a car ride. He then takes the boy to a house to borrow his uncle's vehicle. While walking towards the garage, Isaac suggests asking permission from the car owner. However, the thief lies and explains that he doesn't want to bother his uncle because he's ill. Sam then asks Isaac to stay put and inform him if somebody's coming. The thief uses a rock to break the chains, granting him access to the garage. Afterward, he gets inside the car and begins searching for the keys. Meanwhile, the boy fails to notice the house owner entering the garage. The man then encounters Sam, who swiftly knocks him down. Once the man is unconscious, the carjacker reverses the vehicle and invites Isaac to get inside. Upon arriving at their destination, they bond over a drink. During their conversation, the boy opens up about his mother Annie, who's been missing since the flood. Despite the tragic event occurring a year ago, he insists that his mom is alive because her body was never found. That night, the locals gather for Vivian's unveiling of the monument for the 5 locals. The artist explains that her piece is a combined dove and an eagle. The cloth covering the figure is removed, revealing the piece. Upon seeing it, the devout Loris compares the artist's work to a demonic entity. Following this, Mayor Pat invites the audience to take a moment and remember the 5 locals: Brett, Ranjit, Annie, Karen, and Alfie. During the speech, Sam sets fire to the piece, causing panic among the audience. Isaac smiles, showing his support for his new friend's actions. A moment later, Ray visits Gwen at the facility, only to find torn photos scattered on the floor. The only untouched photo is the one of her with Max on her side table, sparking jealousy in the old man. When he returns home, the old man smiles at Honey and realizes that something he ate in the garden must have caused her youthfulness. Curious, he investigates the garden and finds a radiant yellow berry, sparking an idea. While driving, Sam suddenly feels nauseous, leading him to pull over and throw up by the roadside. Dave appears and apprehends him for stealing a car and streaking downtown the previous day. Before exiting the vehicle, the thief discreetly tosses his wallet into an empty field to conceal his identity. Once in the cell, the inmate taunts the officer, subtly revealing he slept with his wife, provoking the cop to deliver a punch. Following Dave's departure, Sam trembles and raises his hand, noticing it's wrinkled. He also consumed the glowing berry, revealing its effects are temporary. At night, Ray sneaks into the facility and gives Gwen the berry, hoping it'll make her younger like his dog. He waits for a result but sees nothing happen, so he leaves and fails to witness that the fruit worked. The following day, Gwen wears a blue dress and flees the facility, still in disbelief over her restored youth. Meanwhile, Ray receives a call from Margot informing him that his wife is missing. Meanwhile, Sam wakes up only to discover he's reverted to his original form, an elderly man. Feeling down, Max looks at pictures of Gwen on his wall, including one of them together. Then, he grabs his rifle, intending to end his life. Just as he's about to pull the trigger, the former actress unexpectedly appears at the door, startling him. She quickly runs off upon seeing his attempt. Worried about his missing wife, Ray drives around town to look for her, unaware that his spouse managed to make her way back home. She uses the spare key under a rock, entering through the back door. Upon her arrival, Honey, the dog, immediately recognizes her, prompting the woman to pet her. Shortly after, Ray arrives and finds Gwen transformed into her younger self. Overjoyed, they reunite with a warm embrace that soon turns into a passionate kiss. At the police station, Sergeant Stokes informs Dave about an inmate using a potential fake name. Acting swiftly, the officer checks the man's identity, only to discover that he's not the same person he'd arrested the day before. Meanwhile, Ray shows Gwen the berries in the garden. The former actress is captivated by their effects and expresses how wonderful she feels. Suddenly, she notices the cross nailed to the tree, prompting her husband to explain that it's the spot where Alfie drowned. Shocked by this revelation, Gwen's confused about why she remembers nothing about it. Their conversations interrupted when Ray hears Max's voice. Quickly, he ushers his wife inside and then proceeds to the front door to greet his friend, who's inquiring about Gwen's whereabouts. However, the protective husband lies, reminding his friend that the former actress has stayed in the facility since the flood. Meanwhile, Sam, using his elderly appearance to his advantage, pretends to be someone else to secure his release. He introduces himself as Mick Waterman. Suspicious, Dave asks the old man how he ended up there, but the thief lies, claiming that he woke up in the cell without clothes or his wallet. Upon hearing this, the cop turns to the sergeant, confirming that the person he arrested last night was a younger man who even took a photo of him. However, Stokes refuses to believe him, recalling a similar incident. She then directs the officer to release the old man. A moment later, the police officers drop Sam off in the woods. There, the old man spots a rabbit nibbling on the youthberry, sparking excitement. After consuming the fruit himself, he stumbles upon a red vehicle hidden beneath the spot where the plant grew. Upon closer inspection, he finds a corpse inside, adorned with an infinity necklace. Terrified, the old man steps back and feels in pain. He sits by the tree, and as he does, the berry slowly takes effect, making him younger. Meanwhile, Dave heads to the cell and finds a shirt and a pair of shoes under the bed, reinforcing his belief that he was correct about arresting a younger man. At home, Gwen gazes into the mirror, marveling at her restored youth. Suddenly, Ray receives a phone call from Margot and reassures her that his wife is with him. Suddenly, the former actress unclothes herself to allure her husband, sparking a moment of intimacy between them. At the same time, Max visits the facility to see Gwen, but Margot interrupts him, explaining that the patient is currently receiving care. After reporting his discovery to Stokes, Dave learns that the old man they found in the cell had lied about his identity. It turns out that his real name is Tommy Bryden, and he's wanted for his involvement in a murderous act. The sergeant also reveals that the fingerprints from the clothes and shoes match the old man's. Stokes, who initially doubted Dave, commends the officer for apprehending the bad guy. However, this confuses the cop, who's sure he's arrested a younger man. Meanwhile, Sam retrieves his wallet, realizing it has no money. The broke man then resorts to stealing clothes from someone's backyard. Afterward, he visits Tina's house to spend time with her while discreetly taking cash from her purse. After their intimate moment, Sam prepares to leave, but as he reaches for the door, Tina asks if he's hungry and offers to serve him some pies. At the same time, Ray is overwhelmed by Gwen's newfound energy in bed, asking her to slow down. With her rejuvenated youth, the former actress expresses how they now have all the time in the world to do everything. However, the old man advises her to take things one day at a time. This statement changes Gwen's mood, prompting her to get up and express hunger. When she opens the fridge, she complains about the cold pasta, prompting Ray to direct her to check the cupboard for tins. Suddenly, Loris knocks at the door and Ray instructs Gwen to hide. The old woman inquires about the former actress, having heard about the news at the facility. He reassures her that his wife is fine and resting. Suddenly, their conversations interrupted when Loris spots Gwen in the hallway. Immediately, Ray lies, claiming that the woman is Natalie, his niece. However, the old woman doubts his explanation. Later in the garden, the old man asks his wife how they'll explain their situation to everyone. Gwen suggests they don't have to, proposing they simply leave and start anew. After sharing a kiss, she hands her husband the berry. That evening, Sam returns to the woods and visits Isaac in his hideout. The boy explains that the items hung on his wall are site maps where he searched for his mother. He still believes his mom's alive because her car and body have never been found. Hearing this, Sam agrees to help Isaac and invites him for a drive the following day. As Isaac leaves, the boy assures the thief that he left bedding and provisions for him. Meanwhile, Tina realizes that her money is missing. Suddenly, Dave arrives and informs her that he had an inmate who mentioned that he loved her custard tarts. Hearing this, the nervous woman smiles, but the jealous officer reacts, prompting the offended woman to express that she's still desirable in other men's eyes. That evening, Gwen observes Ray, who hasn't changed despite eating 2 berries. The old man worries about her living with him in his aged form, but the former actress reassures him that she wants to be with him despite their differences. Excitedly, she brings up the idea of having a baby with him. However, Ray admits he had wanted one before, but not in his current state. This infuriates Gwen, and she shouts as she storms out of the room. After calming herself down in the hallway, Gwen apologizes to her husband and expresses her love for him, leading to a kiss between them. Then, she begins to allure him, but the old man refuses her advances, sensing her intentions. Ray explains that they don't understand how it works and are unsure if she can get pregnant in her youthful form. The woman reassures him that she's still the same person. However, when the old man refuses, she becomes upset and walks out again. Meanwhile, Loris tells her husband Herb about Ray's niece while tending to his wound. She speculates that the old man is involved with a younger woman, considering it inappropriate given his background as an educator. Herb doesn't react to his wife's rants and simply gazes at a photo of himself with another man who was once a past boyfriend. The following day, Ray awakens and finds Gwen absent beside him. Meanwhile, the owner of the stolen car is at the police station, confirming that Sam was responsible. Suddenly, Isaac arrives and asks Sergeant Stokes for a glass of water for his medication. While the officer fulfills his request, the boy seizes the opportunity to grab the keys from the locker and quickly exits. The boy then hands the key to Sam, who uses it to steal the man's car again. They hit the road, and later, the man teaches the kid to drive. Downtown, Gwen buys a new blouse and eyewear. Meanwhile, Ray, worried about her, drives through town with Honey sitting in the back seat, searching for her. After purchasing the items, the former actress encounters Max on the sidewalk, who's immediately surprised to see her. Suddenly, Ray arrives just in time, prompting him to intervene and pull her away. As he does so, Gwen whispers to Max to call her. The stubborn woman runs into the woods when her husband is about to get her inside the car. Frustrated, Ray returns to his car only to discover that Honey has returned to her original form. Realizing this, he immediately becomes worried for his wife. Meanwhile, Sam returns to the hideout and notices a photo of Isaac with his mom, Annie, standing behind a red car. Realizing this, he quickly connects the dots and understands that the car he found earlier underneath the berry plant belonged to Annie, and the corpse he discovered inside was indeed hers. Suddenly, he gets distracted when he sees Gwen walking near the river. He approaches her, recognizing her as the former actress. As he gets closer, he realizes they're alike, and she's also consumed the fruit. However, the woman simply walks away from him. Meanwhile, Max returns home, contemplating what he'd witnessed earlier. He goes to his barn and retrieves his photo with Gwen. Upon realizing that another person also knows about the effect of the fruit, Gwen rushes home to inform her husband Ray about her encounter with Sam. However, when her spouse meets her, he informs her that the effect doesn't last, showing her Honey who's back to her weak and old condition. Before she can react, the former actress spots Sam in the garden, realizing he's followed her. Seeing that he pulled out that plant, she storms out of the house to stop him and smacks him to make him give it back. As they fight, Ray intervenes, pointing at the fallen plant which eventually loses its life. This shocks Gwen, who realizes that she'll soon revert to her original form and there's no more fruit available to rejuvenate her.
Subscribe to watch more videos like this, turn on notifications and leave a like to help the channel out. Thank you for watching.